Hello, dear aspirants. Today is 26th March and we are ready with the must read articles for 26th March. I am Akriti Kanchi, your mentor from PrepIS, and I have been trying to make your newspaper reading extremely UPSC relevant, right? And as I have told, even today there are a lot of articles which is important from prelims fact point of view and few great, best practices of around the world which you can use in your mains answer, right? So it is important for all the stages of examination, which you will just see while going through this video. So let's start with the front page. So the discussion has begun for the how to select judiciary and what is the what are the issues that are involved in the collegium system. Government opposition call for changing collegiate system or improving it, we can say, right? So that there is more accountability of judges and there is more transparency in how judges are being selected, right? This comes under GS paper 2, which is polity, structure, organization and functioning of judiciary. How is it happening? So vice president and the Rajya Sabha chairman chaired a meeting with Rajya Sabha, leader and the leader of opposition, and they have talked about building, another intervention by Parliament in judicial appointments. How Parliament can play important check and balances kind of role in judicial appointments, right? So both the center and opposition, they think there needs to be an alternative to the present collegiate system, which lacks transparency. We all have talked about NJAC bill was brought in 2015 and it was struck down by Supreme Court in 2015, calling the basic structure judiciary's freedom as basic structure doctrine, as a part of basic structure doctrine. But we need to bring a bill which keeps judiciary free as well as transparent, right? Next article, cannot be compelled to join the Sahyog portal, says Twitter. Previously to Twitter, now X, to Delhi High Court. Now this comes under GS paper 2, government policies, intervention, government acts like IT Act and censorship. So we have read this article 3 days back also. Social media platform has informed Delhi High Court that it cannot be compelled to come on board with center's Sahyog portal. So there's a new portal called Sahyog portal, which aims to create a unified framework to combat cyber crime. So government has created Sahyog portal to create a unified framework to combat the cyber crimes. So, but pointing to the Supreme Court's ruling in the Shreya Singhal versus Union of India case. So Shreya Singhal versus Union of India case is a very important case with respect to IT Act, right? So in that case, referring to that case, they are saying the Sahyog portal falls outside the statutory scheme of Section 69A of the IT Act 2000, right, which empowers the government. Section 69A empowers the government to order online platforms to block information in specific circumstances. But this portal, which is a parallel mechanism, is outside the purview of 69A without any procedures or safeguards. So Twitter is rejecting that it will not follow the the directions or the rules of Sahyog portal, right? This is an ongoing issue which will come in the in the coming days also. Okay, let's move to the next article on the front page. Last article on the front page. Government drops import duty on EV phone battery components. So why government is trying to do this? They're reducing the taxes on import duties on components so that the domestic manufacturers can get the components in the lower prices and create the finished goods in the country itself. So encouraging the domestic manufacturing, right? So this comes under GS paper 3, economy. You should know this from prelims point of view, also prelims concepts. So Union Finance Minister announced that there would be no import duties on 35 capital goods which is used to make EV vehicles and 28 items which is used to make phone batteries, right? To boost manufacturing. It is also called custom tariff rationalization, right, in budget 2025, which is aiming to boost domestic production, enhancing export competitiveness so that India can export also the same goods in the lesser prices. So if they are charging higher taxes, so the manufacturer's final good will be higher in value, which is not nice for export manufacturing competitiveness, right? And making domestic products cost effective. They are trying to rationalize tariff structure and address duty inversion. Now, what is duty inversion? When a country is imposing more import duties or taxes on the components than on the final good. So ultimately, you are making it more expensive for the domestic manufacturer. So if domestic manufacturer is importing components, the smaller components, and we are putting higher taxes on that, and then we are discouraging the manufacturing in the country, which is duty inversion, which should not happen, right? So the taxes on the manufacturing of the country shouldn't be more than the final goods being imported, from the other country, right? So you should know the concept of duty inversion. Let's go to the next article, next page. So Delhi government has brought a budget. So Delhi government's budget and its data is not important for us, but it is important the what schemes government is bringing. So state schemes are also important for us. Okay. So GS paper 2, welfare schemes for vulnerable section by state, here being Delhi government. So what are schemes that they have mentioned? Atal Canteen is also a thing which gives nutritious meal in very less money, that is 5 rupees. 40 sewage treatment plants are being built to prevent polluted water. Model Gaushala, monthly aid to scheduled caste students to build their skills, in ITI, skill center, etc. These are some schemes brought by Delhi state. Another thing that, here some economic concepts are mentioned. So I thought we should discuss it for beginners or people who have already read it. It will be good for revising. Right? So Delhi's fiscal deficit increases by nearly 900%, but still it is not a major worry. Why? So what is fiscal deficit? It is the shortfall between how much government is earning and how much government is spending. Right? It is a shortfall between the government's total spending and earnings, and a chief measure of the health of state finances. A low fiscal deficit is linked with better financial health. So as a family, if I am earning more, for example, if I'm spending not too much, and earning is around the same value, so I am working in a better way. If my spending is too high and earning is little, so it's not a stable form of a working family. Similar in the state, it is fiscal deficit. If government is earning less money and spending too much, that will be higher fiscal deficit, which is not good for state finances. Okay, so they are selling why Delhi's fiscal deficit being high is not a problem. Delhi's debt to GSDP ratio is the lowest in the country. Okay, so the debt that Delhi government has taken is not too high, which indicates better financial health. So what they are doing, the extra spending that they are doing is on the capital expenditure. So when they are spending on capital expenditure, it leads to jobs, it leads to better facilities for people, right? So capital expenditure is done for creating assets, roads, buildings, while revenue expenditure is for meeting expenses such as salary, direct cash transfer schemes. Both are required, right? If you make a capital expenditure like hospital, then the salary that is going to doctors will come under revenue expenditure. But that is also important. If doctors will not be there, how will the capital expenditure, that is asset as a hospital, will work, right? So both are equally important, right? So creating infrastructure has a larger multiplier effect than revenue expenditure to put the economy on a growth path. Okay, last article in this page. Up ahead, Tihar jail relocation, more CCTVs, pink PCRs. So my highlight here is pink PCR. This comes under GS paper 2, welfare schemes for vulnerable population by state, here being women. So Delhi government has brought, the Delhi CM has announced the introduction of pink police control room. You can always mention it in your mains answer. Pink police control room. Units to improve women's security. She added that forming dedicated women battalions will increase the recruitment of women police officers. They're also building Sakhi Niwas Yojana to provide secure accommodations for working women and female students who are pursuing higher education. You should know about, you should mention this initiative by that Delhi state government has introduced pink police PCR. Sorry, pink PCR, which is pink police control room. Okay, let's move to the next article. Yeah, now this is important from just prelims point of view. Kachha Tivu Island. Kachha Tivu Island. Kachha Tivu Island. Where is it now? It can be asked, right? It's a conflict between which two countries? It is between India and Israel, right? So there is already case is going on in Supreme Court. So Kachha Tivu is an uninhabited island located. So sorry, I said it by mistake. So Kachha Tivu Island is a disputed island between India and Sri Lanka, not Israel. That came out by mistake. So Kachha Tivu is an uninhabited island located about 10 miles northeast of Rameshwaram. Rameshwaram, that is a southern point of India on the Indian side, and 9 miles south of Deft Island on the Sri Lankan side. But between Sri Lanka and India, right? Let's move to the next article. So this article is, we just should know that Afghanistan is still a burning issue and it has not been sorted and solved. So the great abandonment of Afghanistan, earlier Afghanistan was called the Great Game. Now it is the Great Abandonment. This comes under GS paper 2, India and its neighborhood relation. Afghanistan does share boundary with India, right? So it is our neighbor, right? From prelims point of view, you should know what is the boundary between Afghanistan and Pakistan call. It is Durand line. Okay, you should know these things. That is also mentioned here. So Taliban 2.0, which has come, is also creating a lot of fuss and problems. It has a, though right now it is showing that it has firmer grip in the country, but it is very brutal to women. It is less tolerant of any opposition. It has stopped girls from going to schools, from going in any open places, which is really bad, right? And still, a lot of countries are for their own interest, for their real politic interest and practical interest, so-called, they are still making relations with them. But still, India has not made very direct and strong relations with Taliban till now. So the editor is recommending the US and Europe have washed their hands on the problem inside Afghanistan. India should also worry about losing mind space among Afghanistan. Okay, whereas countries like Russia, China, Pakistan, Central and West Asia have embraced the Taliban regime, right, allowing the Taliban flag to keep their embassy there, right? So Taliban's mismanagement will come in, more in the front. That is the editor saying. Let's put the next article in the opinion page. So right now there is a trend, amongst in some countries. It was happened in Philippines also, anti-vaccine. Okay, people think vaccine will do some harm, which is leading to a lot of issues, right? That is leading to a lot of diseases and deaths also. They're going to regressive era. That is not good. Vaccines are good for our health. So this article is about that, a bad omen for public trust in vaccines. Okay, this comes under GS paper 2, issues related to development of health sector, here being the vaccine, right? So anti-vax movement which is going on, right, by conspiracy theories and all. So what is the issue here? There is a lack of trust, trust in the regulator, trust in the process of making vaccine. So that government needs to make sure that people have the trust back, right? There are certain petitions filed in Kerala about anti-rabies vaccine. There are also questions about transparency of clinical trial data of COVID vaccines and all. Though the private entities that have created these vaccines have filed defamation, but that won't be the solution, right? Serum Institute and Bharat Biotech have gone on a spree filing defamation lawsuits against those questioning or criticizing the vaccine. But the editor is saying that those are not the solution. What is the solution, right? So what is the problem actually? That is the opacity with which vaccines were approved by the drugs regulator. Who is the drugs regulator here? Central Drug Standard Control Organization, CDSCO. Okay, so what is the major issue? That regulatory decisions that is made by Central Drug Standard Control Organization along with independent doctors, the details are not disclosed. Okay, so the details should be disclosed, hiding the conflict, the privacy of people should be just redacted. But other than that, most of the information should be there in the public, right, to build confidence in the process of vaccines. The second issue is the clinical trial data, which forms the basis of the approval process. So pharmaceutical companies conduct clinical trials and submit data to the regulator. So here also the regulator should publicly disclose all raw clinical trial data and its own internal analysis, protecting the patient's privacy, right? So these are certain. Again, health ministry should assure the here the process should be more transparent, as pharmacovigilance system collects data on adverse events due to vaccination. So we need an adverse event following immunization. One second, what is written here? Here they are saying that here is putting what we require is we need to put in place a transparent pharmacovigilance system which collects data on adverse events due to vaccination. So we need such kind of system. We need a well-functioning AEFI system, which is adverse event following immunization, which will go a long way in collecting data of high quality that pharmaceutical companies cannot control, right? And even a compensation to all the family members of people who have died out of the side effects of vaccine should be thought about. What government needs to do there, right? So there also, companies should be held accountable according to the editor. So health minister should assure the petitioners in these cases that the government is cognizant of their concerns and promise them a policy response, preferably, some new kind of things that will build trust again. Let's move to the next article here. So growth in most southern state is concentrated in few districts. So it is about imbalanced development. It is there between states. Imbalanced development is throughout the world, between countries, within the states of the country. Some states are more developed, some states are less. Within the state also. For example, the southern states call themselves very developed, but even there, not the entire state is developed. Only few developed regions are making the GDP of the state or GDP per capita of the state better, per capita GDP, right? So an analysis of the surveys that economic growth in all of these states lagged behind India's economy. So their growth rate also lagged behind India's total economic growth rate. This comes under GS paper 1 regionalism topic, right? So significant proportion of the population and labor force, the rates of unemployment in these states are also a concern. Indian economy grew at 9.2% in 2023-24, whereas Tamil Nadu was 8.2%, Telangana 7.4%, and other at 6%. Despite these states having higher per capita incomes, more than the average, the economic advantages are highly concentrated in handful of districts within the state. So Karnataka has a higher per capita income because of Bangalore and few more cities. Okay, so these are issues, and there needs to be more properly distributed development, right? Let's move to the next article. So this is a continuation of issue of judiciary's accountability that we were discussing in the front page. How is an in-house inquiry conducted? This also comes under GS paper 2, structure or functioning of judiciary. The Chief Justice of India has constituted an in-house committee to conduct an inquiry into allegations of misconduct against Justice Yashwant Verma, right? So in order to probe into complaints of alleged misbehavior against judges of the higher judiciary, Supreme Court has developed this procedure, right? So this procedure, a 3-member committee has been constituted as per the in-house procedure. This procedure resolution was adopted in 1999. This procedure was started in 1999 and it was made public in 2014. Right, the CJI can make a 3-member committee consisting of 2 chief justices from other high courts and 1 high court judge. So these are some process, but the problem in this process, it is not open. Right, it is people need to know what is the process, right? So the detail of in-house inquiries are kept confidential. This needs to change. They need to disclose more things, and no judge has suffered criminal punishment even after having been found guilty. So that's not a good thing, right? We should learn from UK here. UK's best practices, that is autonomous statutory office called the Judicial Conduct Investigation Office that investigates allegation of judicial misconduct. So something transparent and more open kind of body or regulatory body should be made for such investigation. Okay, right, let's move to the next article. We will directly go to here this is very important. Anti-defection under 10th schedule of the Constitution is very important for the stability of polity in the states. Supreme Court considers question of timeline for speakers to decide on defection. This comes under GS paper 2, constitutional posts of speaker, their powers, and in the provisions of constitution, which is anti-defection or 10th schedule. So what is the loophole in 10th schedule is speaker is the deciding authority whether that person has defected or not. But the problem is speaker has not been given any timeline under which it should act. So it has been left indefinitely and actions are not being taken upon the instances of anti-defection. That is the problem, right? So Supreme Court asked if constitutional courts cannot direct speakers, because speaker, when they are taking decisions or judgment, they are acting as quasi-judicial tribunals. And when any institution become judicial tribunals, then Supreme Court has power over it, right? Under the anti-defection law to decide. So Supreme Court speakers are quasi-judicial tribunals under anti-defection law to decide disqualification petitions filed with them under the 10th schedule of the Constitution within a specific time. But right now, a petition has been filed by Telangana Assembly, filed against the Telangana Assembly Speaker on disqualification proceeding, right? So Apex Court till now had only urged speakers to decide anti-defection place within a reasonable time, but has not define what is reasonable time, right? So constitution courts were, after all, the custodians of the Constitution. Supreme Court is the custodian of the Constitution. It has to take care whether the Constitution is being followed or not, right? So there is a good example of UK. Best practices that you can mention when such issues come. So in UK, the speakers of the House was the last position held before abandoning active politics. So if somebody has become speaker, they cannot participate in future politics. right? So it's a good thing when I am as a speaker, I'm taking decision and I have no interest in my future of politics, so I will take a decision from more unbiased point of view, right? From not from any future vested interest, right? So that is what practice we should also follow in India. If you become a speaker, then if they have no political hopes, then they will act more unbiased. So such practices that we can follow. Since speakers function as a tribunal, the courts definitely would have the power of judicial review over their actions. They can direct the speaker to exercise his constitutional authority on time, right? You should know about writs, power of writs that Supreme Court has, right? Let's move to the next article. There are some prelims related fact here. Easing FPI threshold can induce capital inflow, says experts. So SEBI has right now, so this is more important for prelims point of view. SEBI decision to increase the threshold for FPIs to start making granular disclosure has become 50,000 crore. Before it was 25,000 crore. So before 50,000 crore, they'll not have to do some granular disclosure, right? Which means they are doing this to in hope to increase the capital inflows amid relentless selling by FPI to ease the compliance burden, right? So tough granular disclosure requirement had made compliance difficult. Many FPIs had diluted their positions in India to fall below the threshold of 25,000 crore. So if they'll go above 25,000 crore, they'll have to give more disclosure, which they didn't want to do it, right? So SEBI's latest decision has been hailed as pro-growth and pro-investment. You should know this also from prelims point of view. BHIM 3.0 launched with options to track shared expenses. So who has brought BHIM? So National Payment Corporation of India, wholly owned subsidiary NPCI BHIM Services, launched BHIM 3.0 with enhanced features, right? So NPCI also works under RBI. It's a subsidiary of RBI. You should know about these data. India Singapore Inc. Letter of intent for Green and Digital Shipping Corridor, Green and Digital Shipping Corridor, GDSC. This is a very good example that you can write when climate, what India is doing in climate related things. So here, Singapore, India, Green and Digital Shipping Corridor, when established, will enhance collaboration between both countries, and it will accelerate the development and uptake of zero or near zero greenhouse gas emission technologies and the adoption of digital solutions. So they are collaborating on a very important topic, that is GHG technology. Social protection coverage doubled to 48.8% in 2024. You should know about this from mains and prelims point of view. This comes under GS paper 2, welfare schemes by Center for Vulnerable People, right? So Union Labour Ministry in collaboration with International Labour Organization shows 65% of India's population is covered by at least one social protection benefit, with 48.8% receiving cash benefits. Okay, so more than 200 crores records were taken. So India's social protection coverage thus doubled from 24% in 2021 to 48% in 2024 as per ILO's World Social Protection Report 2024-2026. So from prelims point of view, who releases World Social Protection Report? Who takes up care of the social protection? So it is mostly of the lower class, labor class, right? So it is International Labour Organization's report. You should know about this, and ministry is actively collaborating with state government and ILO for national social protection data pooling exercise, right? These data is important from both prelims and mains point of view. Let's move to the last page, science page. So water is very important for survival, right? So even now the Earth's major composition is water. We all know that. Search for universe's first water could reset timeline of life's origin. So scientists are continuously out of their curiosity trying to know when did the life began and when did the water come, right? So some of the Earth's water was delivered by comets early in the planet's history. And they also confirm that water molecules remain unchanged from their interstellar origins. So this topic comes under GS paper 3, awareness in the field of space. Water is the third most abundant molecule in the universe. So what is first and second? Hydrogen and carbon monoxide, and third is water, right? So the conditions required for water existed around the time when the first supernova lit up, right? The gigantic stars exploded, leaving behind hydrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen and oxygen combined to create water. Right, so first supernova produced enough water to drench the infant universe. So this means planet could have formed before the first galaxies, and there was enough water to kickstart life. This would push the timeline for potential life even back. right? So astronomers had an idea that metal poor stars generated oxygen which would combine with hydrogen to produce water. So they're trying to know these things. The curiosity is still going on. Last article, stimulating gravity for space workouts. This again comes in GS paper 3, science and tech application, how gravity of the earth works and how it was working in space. So generally in space, in India, not in India, sorry, in earth, there's a gravity, right? Now, you know, we have a gravitational force that is working. So when we are working against the gravitational force. So our muscle is being built, right, constantly. The work, to do a certain work, we require more effort at the ground than at the International Space Station, because at the International Space Station, right, the downward force, you know, the weight all is very less, and very little work is needed to do any work. So unlike walking on earth where you have to overcome your own weight and friction against the air and the ground, in space they are very less. The weight and the friction both are, friction is zero and the weight is also very less. So astronauts can face a muscle issue. Their muscles may become weaker, right? So that's why their astronauts use a special weightlifting machine called the Advanced Resistive Exercise Device to push against resistance provided by air-filled pistons, so that they can keep building the muscles. So you should know at International Space Station, the gravity is much lesser than that on the Earth. Right? That's it for 26 March. Thank you.